Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. And I'm super excited because today I'm going to be talking about books again. I'm very happy whenever I get to talk about books. And today I wanted to talk about the books that I read in the month of May and a little bit of a background into my reading, I guess, is that am I'm a slow reader. So please do not expect hundreds and like tens of books that, you know, people usually devour in a single month on BookTube. I'm relatively new to this, okay? I have been reading my whole life. I love reading very much. It's one of my biggest hobbies and it's a great comfort. Something very, very significant happened in my reading in the month of May, and I want to talk about it. Okay, but first of all, I only read 3 books this month. I am currently recording this video at the end of May, and I could technically, read some more, but I'm about to start a another big book, so I don't think it's gonna happen. I'll just have to record another video for the month of June, so we'll talk about that later. It's okay. So, in the month of May, I read 3 books, and I want to talk about them because they were all good. Most of the books that I read are actually pretty good because I don't know, that's just because I'm lucky like that. I don't know. I'm not always lucky when it comes to books that I find through Book Talk, even though I found some amazing, amazing, amazing books, some of which became my favorites. But the books that I found myself were usually pretty good, and I'm really confident recommending them. So, anyways, let's just get started. Okay, so the very first book that I read in May was Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto, and this is actually one of the oldest books in my library. I bought this maybe I feel like I've had it for about a decade. It's a bit of a random book that I picked up, I believe, potentially in Oxford, maybe in New York. I have no idea. And I solely bought it because of the vibes and because I love that it's pink. So it wasn't really that deep in the beginning. I read this finally and I have a few things to say. I feel like I am comfortable recommending this one. It has 2 stories, Kitchen and Moonlight Shadow. And these are all relatively short novels by Banana Yoshimoto. And these are very atmospheric reads. They touch on the stories where the characters deal with loss and grief and hope and love, mostly in the kitchen. In Moonlight Shadow, it's more about loss and grief. And it's it's much sadder. It's a shorter story, but I didn't expect how sad it's gonna make me feel. But they're beautifully written. They're beautifully translated. I should probably say because I didn't read them in Japanese. I read them in English, and these are just wonderful light stories that will make you feel your feelings. I guess it's not a fun read per se, but I really enjoyed how the kitchen picked up the pace and made me quite nervous about what's gonna happen at the end if the thing that I want to happen is gonna happen. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I think that I can comfortably recommend this book. So, yes. All right, the second book that I read in May was My Body by Emily Ratajkowski. This book that I have been planning to read for quite some time because I heard really good reviews, and I finally read it. I have to say that I really enjoyed this book, and it's a collection of essays where Emily talks about her relationship with her body, her relationship with her beauty, how we as women are perceived, how our beauty is perceived, working in modeling industry and being taken advantage of. And it does touch on some heavier topics, so just kind of be aware of that. And I have to say that I really enjoyed this book. I love how it was written. I loved how it made me feel maybe a little bit seen. I feel like a lot of women can relate to being seen and perceived and being picked apart, and how it has an impact on your own self-worth and your confidence and how you view yourself and how you view your own worth. So I do think it's a really well written book that I would definitely recommend for women. I would love for the men to read the book and understand how we feel and how we would like to be seen more as people rather than as our bodies. I really quite liked it, and it does touch on heavier topics, which was definitely harder to read. It was quite painful, but we see a beautiful transformation in how Emily views her own body from the beginning of the book towards the end. She's talking about becoming a mother, and learning to view her body not just as a beautiful object, but a vessel that carried life and created life, which I found to be really beautiful. Anyways, honestly, it's a great book. I strongly recommend this. There's not even much to talk about, to be honest. Just go pick it up and read it. It's really good. It's really thought provoking as well. Okay, now we're moving on to the fun part of the video and the whole reason why I wanted to make this video to begin with. I started reading fantasy romance in the month of May. I've never really been that girl. I have never understood the appeal of fantasy. I was just not that person. Even though I read Harry Potter, I read the Twilight series. So I did read fantasy. I am familiar with it, but with the whole new boom of popularity of fantasy and specifically romantic fantasy and specifically fantasy romance, sorry, online currently, I could not really quite connect with that. I was not interested. But then I decided to give it a go. I want to talk about this a little bit because I read the second book in the ACOTAR series. This one. I have a lot to say. Oh my god. I have a lot to say. So I started ACOTAR about a year and a half ago. I read the first book in the ACOTAR series about a year and a half ago, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. I didn't really like the writing. I didn't really connect to the story. I didn't like the main female character. I just didn't really see the appeal. I feel like it read to me a little bit more so as a young adult book, which I don't really like. I was never really into that, so it was okay at best. It also took me quite a while to finish because I just was not interested. However, I'm really grateful to Book Talk and generally to social media where people kept mentioning the second book and how incredible it is. So I did eventually pick it up and I finally read it in May and I'm so happy that I did. I could not put this book down. I could not put it down. It was so good. It was genuinely one of the best books that I've read in a while, simply because it was just so much fun and I did not expect so many twists and so much world building and so much character development. I was kind of shocked. I feel like the writing improved as well, and the love storyline in this book is on another level. I loved it. I loved it so much. It was incredible. I've experienced the whole spectrum of emotions reading this one. It made me laugh, it made me cry. I cried finishing this book. I At some point I was nervous because it's going to be no spoilers here, but I felt like if the book was going to end, at the very end, like if you know, when the thing that happens, all right, the plot twist. I at some point thought that if we're gonna carry on like this, I don't think that I can proceed with this series because it was just way too painful. And it was really hard for me to finish some of the final chapters, I have to say, because I felt like I got really emotionally connected to the characters and to this world, and I'm happy to report that a book 4 is already with me, and I am very, very, very excited to start it. Very, very excited. If you were thinking about giving a go to fantasy romance, do I do recommend ACOTAR. I cannot say that I don't because, listen, if you read the first book and you didn't like it, I strongly, strongly recommend you pick up the second one because it gets so much better. It's on a whole other level. The first book is nothing compared to the second one. It's so much better. There's so much more that's happening, and if you are not interested in the romance so much, I wouldn't say that romance is the most important storyline in this series. It kind of is important though, but at the same time, it's there is a lot more happening. you get a lot more of the actual fantasy world. You get politics, you get, again, character development and actual world building, which I really, really appreciate. This is not just a romance. I'm not interested in romance so much, to be honest. I realized this is beautiful. This was wonderful. It wasn't perfect, but it was really, really great, and it was so much fun. I really enjoyed myself. So, yes, if you've been thinking about this, please give it a go. Wow. I mean, it was incredible. Yep. Okay. It's not an honorable mention whatsoever, but I also started Feather So Vicious. And I very quickly DNF'd it. I want to talk about it for just a couple of seconds because I don't know. I felt like this is the kind of book that I could finish quickly because it's shorter. I don't know why I'm surprised because it is a dark fantasy romance as far as I know. And I don't know why I was so surprised when it started getting dark. And I really didn't like it, and it was just a little bit too dark for me, and I don't know if I want to continue with it. I really don't like DNFing books. I really don't like that. I kind of see potential. Also, so many people love this book online that I feel like I might just push through just a little bit more to see if I'm gonna like it. I'm not the fan of this world or this setting at all yet. I don't like the characters at all yet. I don't understand. I don't judge the people who love this. This is the kind of romance that I want and am interested in. I don't know what the hell that was. And I don't know if I can carry on. I don't know. I might give it a go. I will update you on that. But for now, I'm just gonna wrap up this video. This is all the books. These are all the books that I read in May 2025. Thank you very much, you guys, for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know in the comments what you read in the month of May. If you have any recommendations for me, if you have any recommendations specifically also in the fantasy romance genre, because I am relatively new to it. I have lots of books on my wishlist at this point in this genre, but I have primarily been reading kind of like classics and fiction for most of my life, so I am definitely interested in recommendations when it comes to romantasy. Let's just call it that. And I would like recommendations specifically of the books that are written well. There is good world building and good character development. I would like for it to have a good love line. I don't want it to be cheesy. I want it to be written really well, and I want the main male character to be a good person. What a thing to ask for. Anyways, thank you very much, you guys, for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.